Welcome, fellow wanderers of the Malazan world. I'm your host, the Malazan narrator, and today we'll be delving deep into the themes and messages woven into the tapestry of Steven Erikson's masterpiece, the Malazan Book of the Fallen. This epic 10-book series is more than just a tale of gods, mortals, and battles. It's a profound exploration of what it means to be human in a world of chaos, struggle, and unrelenting change. So grab your Otataral amulet and let's unravel the layers of Erikson's world. Chapter 1. The Weight of History and Legacy. One of the most striking themes in the Malazan Book of the Fallen is the weight of history. Every character, whether a god, ascendant, or soldier, is shaped by the echoes of the past. Erikson shows us how the consequences of war, ambition, and betrayal ripple through generations. Think of the Talan Imas, bound eternally to a purpose that has long since lost its meaning, or the crippled god, a victim of ancient cruelty whose suffering becomes the fulcrum of vengeance. The message here is clear. The past is never truly gone. It lingers, influencing the present in ways we can't always predict. Erikson challenges us to confront the histories we inherit and consider how we contribute to the legacies we leave behind. Chapter 2. The Cost of Compassion. If there's one theme that threads through the lives of nearly every character, it's compassion, its cost, and its necessity. Erikson doesn't shy away from showing the brutality of his world. Entire cities are burned, soldiers are crushed under endless wars, and yet, in the midst of this darkness, compassion becomes the brightest light. Consider Tavore Paran, who leads an army she cannot emotionally connect with, yet sacrifices everything for a cause larger than herself. Or Itkovian, the shield anvil of the grey swords, who bears the grief of an entire people upon himself, demonstrating that true strength lies in empathy. Erikson seems to tell us that in a world of suffering, our humanity is measured by our ability to care for others, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Chapter 3. Power, Ambition, and the Burden of Leadership. In the Malazan world, power is both a blessing and a curse. From the gods to mortals, we see characters wrestling with the responsibilities and consequences of their decisions. Take Lasine, the empress of the Malazan Empire, who consolidates power at great personal and moral cost, or Anomander Rake, who wields unimaginable power, yet bears the constant burden of his people's survival. Leadership, in Erikson's world, is not about glory, it's about sacrifice. This theme reminds us that ambition often comes at a steep price. Erikson asks us to question whether we're ready to bear the weight of the choices we make in pursuit of power or influence. Chapter 4. The Nature of War and Human Struggle. The Malazan Book of the Fallen is, at its heart, a meditation on war and its impact on individuals and societies. Erikson, having an anthropological background, paints a raw and unflinching portrait of conflict. The Bridgeburners, Bone Hunters, and countless other armies show us the camaraderie of soldiers, the grief of loss, and the futility of many battles. But Erikson doesn't glorify war, he interrogates it. Why do we fight? Who benefits? What is left behind? In these questions, we find Erikson's critique of cycles of violence and his emphasis on endurance. Survival is an act of defiance, and hope often springs from the ashes of destruction. Chapter 5. Faith, Divinity, and the Human Spirit. Religion and faith are ever present in the Malazan universe. The gods themselves are flawed, selfish, and often cruel, beings who reflect the very mortals who worship them. Erikson uses the relationship between gods and mortals to explore the nature of belief. Faith, in his world, isn't about blind devotion, but rather about resilience and the search for meaning in a chaotic existence. Think of Heboric, the former priest, whose faith evolves beyond the structures of organized religion, or Karsa Orlong, who begins as a tool of divine manipulation but ultimately carves his own path. Chapter 6: Connections and the Fragility of Life. Finally, Erikson's narrative continually reminds us of the fragile threads that bind people together. Whether it's the unbreakable bond between the Bridgeburners or the unlikely friendships forged between mortal enemies, the connections between characters are the heart of the story. Erikson emphasizes that life is fleeting and fragile, but it is precisely this fragility that makes it beautiful. His message: cherish the moments of connection, no matter how brief. So, what does the Malazan Book of the Fallen ultimately teach us? It's a story about pain and perseverance, loss and love, power and humanity. Erikson doesn't hand us easy answers. Instead, he asks us to confront the hardest questions about our existence. Thank you for joining me, the Malazan narrator.